and do what we do, make it happen. Coming to you live from the bathroom.
Yeah, you don't have your mic, do you?
Oh, I got it.
Oh, it's just an echo, I guess, cause of the closed spacing. No no cushioning. Okay, yeah, man, coming to you, James and James, live from James's bathroom. Yeah, if you want the story of why, that's a Patreon episode.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Oh
Which means you're
man,
probably going to be doing more talking than I am this one.
oh man. Hey, bro, everybody talks on the toilet, man. So go ahead, it's fine. We expect it, man. Come on.
How's your week been, man?
Hey man, this is definitely been one of the most productive weeks of the year. It's twofold. It's kind of had to be, and then I'm just hitting my own stride right now, man. But got multiple things going. We got Math Academy. That's actually 2 weeks from Monday, so I had to really ramp up my productivity in terms of making sure I had enough volunteers and just people to help out and also making sure I was covered on the side of marketing and fundraising. And yeah, sure, seems like it's pretty close to time, but I've been focused on some other things. And honestly, I knew that with our momentum from last year, we should be fine. If I started it last week, ideally I would have started probably 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 2 weeks ago, which I did some of the preliminary things, but yeah, man, it's been good, man. So that's what I'm working on right now. And next week I'll turn more towards focusing on preparing a curriculum and meeting with some of our volunteers, our teachers and things like that, and
This
continuing
year
to make
two?
sure we secure lunches and stuff. Yeah.
This is year two of it.
Year two, man. Year two. Um,
So what
Year one
prompted
we
Math
served.
Academy?
You say what?
What prompted you to do it?
Man, it was a vision I had for a passion probably about five years ago I got it. And literally the Lord just gave it to me, man. Just idea came to me and I kept saying every year, every school year, I would say, I'm gonna do this in the summer. And 2 summers passed, and then I want to say going into that next summer, um, this let's see. Or it might have been at the end of that second summer, I was talking to a lady about it, and she's like, "You really should do it. My daughter could really benefit." And that really helped me. So coming up to that next summer, I just moved on it. And I think also somebody at my church, I was thinking about Math Academy. I was thinking about something else, and they was like, "You just need a singular focus right now." And I think that helped me to hone in and say, "I'm gonna get Math Academy out." And man, I'm so glad I did because it's like things like that, once you get them going and you actually do it, not only is it a sense of relief, but it's a foundation because God has given it to you for a reason because it's like, you know, it's a stepping stone. When we do it, we see it as maybe a goal. We're gonna get this done, but when we get there, it's like, wow, now this has opened more doors. So that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, man, honestly though, my motivation has was in the classroom. I just noticed that a lot of students didn't naturally weren't naturally, I'm not gonna say naturally, but they just were not engaged with math, with science, and I knew it wasn't because of you know, inability. It was more so disinterest because it wasn't very relevant. So when I got the vision for Math Academy, it was about creating a relevance. I mean, a relevance, creating an enjoyment around something that in today's age with a lot of our kids is taboo. They don't necessarily enjoy it and they don't feel like they're good at it. But I knew And one thing when I was taking, I talk, but when I was in my master's program for instruction and curriculum, one of the things I learned there was that in order to be a really effective teacher, one needs to see his or her students as equal or better than themselves. And so I challenge
Hmm,
myself almost no matter how, lacking a student seemed, I challenge myself to see that student's aptitude
hmm.
as equal to my own or better than myself. And that really helped me um, give a lot and come up with creative ways to teach.
Interesting. Interesting. So, you know, I had the opportunity to teach financial literacy as part of helping out give back to the community with where I work at. So I actually got to go into one of the classrooms and, you know, what I didn't do was I just told them, hey, I've got slides, I've got a PowerPoint, I'm setting it aside because this is not, I mean, look, if you really want this, you're interested in this, it'll be right up here at the desk. Come and get it. All this is going to be is conversation, and I'm going to talk to you about the importance of financial literacy and what it can help you do. And I engaged them with questions, and I even had like a physical tool to give them as a gift. And some of them took it. And it's funny, I went to the bathroom on one of my breaks and I saw it in the garbage can. It was a transaction register. I told them it
That's
was one of the
hilarious.
most powerful tools you can use, which it is. It's one of the most powerful tools you can use. And I emailed a copy, electronic copy of it to the teacher. But I agree with what you're saying as far as wow, just taking the time to reimagine the students as you're equal or better. Probably if you imagine them as you're better and that they're bored in the situation, that's a challenging way of it's a challenging way of making yourself stretch from a teaching standpoint, but also,
Exactly.
in my opinion, it quiets down your ego, you
It
know?
does, and it makes you realize and feel like, okay, if my students aren't getting it, it's something I'm doing, which is a
Right.
hard thing because as teachers,
And you can
most of us,
control it too. You can
you
only
say
control
what?
you. You can control yourself.
Exactly. And as teachers, I mean, most of us exert so much already. So to think like, man, after all of this, there's still not something I'm not getting right. What can it's just it's exhaustive, but
Right.
it's rewarding to keep going back to the well. It was something I was gonna say, man.
The
But
Alzheimer's setting in already. You're too young for that, man. You're younger than me.
uh I think it's just 5 a.m., 6 a.m.s.
Well,
That's what
hey,
it
you
is.
also got a lot more exercise than I did.
Yeah, I know. Oh man, but yeah, no.
Nice sheen of sweat. This.
Can you see it? I was hoping it didn't show up that well, man. I was really hoping it didn't show, but I got this good camera now, so
Yeah, you
so
do.
that's the downside of it when I'm swimming. But yeah, man. Yeah, I was just trying to think of it was one thing I was gonna make about the education, but yeah, man. Oh, I think it's coming to me. But yeah, we were talking about the equal or better. Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about the intelligences. So we know we're all uniquely created, and man has identified these 8 different intelligences. But even if we look at that, all these different types, everybody excels in, one or two or some people more than that. And so if a kid has a type of intelligence that, you know, is not accentuated by how things are taught, then they can come off as, deficient in skills. But really, as a teacher, what we've got to do is create these environments that foster students learn seeking out learning this the learning process and owning the learning process for themselves. And that's actually what Math Academy does, and it does it for math and just STEM in general, science, technology. What we're doing is fostering an environment where students discover can discover how they learn and embrace that and see math and the challenges that math poses as something they want to overcome and go after. And so while it's a 1 week camp, we're using it as our objective is to use it also as like a kind of research incubator, like try things out. That's why we try to work with
I
different
see.
entities in the city who are doing different innovative things, and we all kind of come together for this week camp, see what works, and we want to continue that as Math Academy. We want to take that into the school year and be able to propose certain things to schools and come in, show certain models to teachers and say, hey, let's try this. This may work with for your students with autism or dyslexia, and I say those two because I actually had two parents to come to me and sign up this year. In particular, one child has dyslexia, the other child has autism, and they asked me, did we, have anything for them? And of course, I said, yeah. I said, thank you for letting me know. This is what we do, and we will make sure we have something that helps them. And so that's the epitomizes Math Academy.
So, uh, would you say that your Wednesdays are pretty open?
I'm sorry, say that one more time, James.
Would you say that your Wednesdays are pretty open?
Wednesdays.
Morning?
Yeah, Wednesdays are
Okay.
pretty good for me.
What I'd like you to do, even though it doesn't apply, I'd like you to join Faith to find a job.
Okay.
Yeah, because that small group, it's a small group Zoom, which is great. Back when my dad was a part of it, it was me at Stashy's in Old Cloverdale. But that one meets via Zoom, and I think you need to be on that, not to find a job, but you'll hear something in there that will help. Because I think, and you just say, "Hey, James," so I should be on here.
Yeah, what time is it again?
9 a.m. No, no,
Oh,
no, no. 8 a.m. 8
on
a.m.
Wednesdays.
Yeah, and you can join audio too, even if you can't do the video
Is this a
side.
group? So this is a group out based out of Montgomery?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. It's
cool.
part of the church. Part of the church.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah, yeah. Just had a thought. Um, so so STEM, that sounds stands for science, technology, English, math,
Engineering and math. But
engineering, and
actually, I
math.
got my master's in instruction curriculum with the focus on STEAM, STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. So
Okay,
like incorporate how to incorporate English, how to incorporate everything together, just connect them
interesting.
all.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Um, I really wish my voice was still going like it was earlier in the week, man. This would have
Bro,
been so much fun.
the
I
time
didn't
Mickey
realize
Mouse,
that it's still not quite normal.
the
It's still
Asian
kind of a
Mickey
little
Mouse.
bit. Yeah. Usually did you really think I was messing with you that whole
I
time?
did, man. I swear I
Really?
did. Yes, bro. That was unbelievable.
It's like, no, I'm not messing with you. This is like I'm like talking and it's literally coming out like this.
If that is post 40, I just don't know, man.
Well,
Random voices like that.
don't worry, it's coming for you too. Don't worry. Like dang Freddy Krueger, man. Well, so you had the one thing going on, the other thing going on, yeah.
Yeah, man. So, the Math Academy, of course, is immediate because it's coming up June 2nd. But then, I told you a little while ago, after I really kind of got my feet wet the first 2 months with Refresh Coaching, I had to take a step back and kind of look at the model because it was it was kind of wearing me out doing the coaching. Because I would have six to eight clients that I was meeting with a week, and it doesn't
Oh,
seem
wow.
like a whole lot, but I was
That's a
giving a lot
lot.
in those
That's a lot.
75-minute sessions. It was a lot for
Mm.
me. And so I took a step back that I felt like, I was thinking, okay, this would be a week or two. I'll take the time to kind of develop something that would take the onus off of me. But it really ended up being, I mean, I still have been doing sessions, but I've only done maybe on an average of one or two a week now for like two 2.5 months, man. So it took me a lot longer than I thought to kind of develop this model that I wanted. But recently, I'm always, of course, like reading up and watching videos about things like this, best models for coaching, and I found something recently that was really in line with where I had been going. But that's the interesting part I think about life and business, and especially when we have the Lord and the Holy Spirit is guiding us. Like we'll have the formula, but sometimes it's hard to pinpoint that we have the formula. And so, like, when I start watching these particular guys, this is like called Thought Leadership Institute. It helped piece together some things that I had been touching on, but every time I seemed like I was gravitating, well, actually, it's like I had all the pieces, and this helped me put it together. And
Hmm.
so now I'm moving forward, man. I do expect like next week to roll out a couple things, man. Where it's funny because like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was telling you, I was like, man, I believe God's got me. I think it's two things. You probably remember. I was like, it's the coaching, and then I see like this startup, like where people can just sign up and I can scale. And honestly, that's exactly what I see now. But now I've got the meat with the bone. So,
Hmm.
man, yeah, and the hardest part of it all, I think, has been pricing. Like honestly, pricing to match. No, it's not been pricing necessarily. It's been figuring out what the components were that individuals got because it was too much for it to be okay. Everybody goes through coaching. I would have had to go ahead and train coaches for that because if everybody goes through coaching, it's hard for me to handle 6 to 8, 8 clients a week. So how could I try to scale like that? But now what I found is basically a hybrid solution where I'll be coaching individual one session quarterly, but they'll get one weekly group session that's going to actually drive what they need day to day. And then
Hmm.
they'll have three additional resources that are pretty interactive that
Hmm.
I've already developed over time. So, man, I'm
Right.
excited about it, as you
Okay.
can see.
I guess you. I I've always gone back to, well, always is pretty strong, but I remember for the longest time I was always, said always again, huh. I for a period of time was very sold on the products and materials of Robert Kiyosaki. So there's the books that he's always written, but there's a audio version, and it's very different than the books. It's, well, not very different, but I think it was like a 15 CD set, but somewhere in there, one of the things that stuck out, and the most important thing I think for anyone that's a coach that's teaching material in general, is you want to have a very, very simple goal of have every student take one thing, just one thing away. So if they take just one thing away, I know we
Yeah.
want them to know the system and master the system and use the system. But what you were telling me the other day about how people basically figure it out their own path, their own way, and that's the point.
Yeah.
If they take away just one thing and they apply it, that's a great victory. So the one thing I took away from him was the concept of if I can make a product and only have to do it one time and people buy it over and over and over and over again, then that's a win. Because from an efficiency standpoint, that's great. Now I'm not having to do 15 different things at once. I only have to record myself just once. It creates that funnel tunnel, all this lingo that people use nowadays. But that's it. That's in essence. If you can create it to where you do your thing, direct them here, then you're off to do other things.
Right.
That's how you create the system piece of what you're doing. The cash flow quadrant, written by Robert Kiyosaki, was his second book. In the cash flow quadrant, uses this analogy of two different business owners. One business owner went to supply water to a town. So what he did was he got up two buckets and he got the water, supplied it to a town. This other guy kind of went away for a while. You didn't see him. A couple years go by. This one self-employed business owner, he's making bukus of money, so much money. And he's got his kids and his family involved. They're making so much money bringing delivering this water to the town. Well, now the other guy, this other business owner comes back and he's got a whole team and they create this basically this pipe system that runs the water from the lake to the town, and he can charge cheaper for the lake. Reason why was is because he had built a system. So he leaves the town and he creates uh, multiple entities because he had built the system around it. So
Right.
when you're in the self-employed phase, you're going to, be all pieces, but you don't lose it in life. It's so hard because of the grind of life, because life is so complex. You get caught up in all the things that life has you do that it obscures your mission and your vision. But that's why you have to surround yourself with like-minded or better people that are where you want to be, so that way you can remind yourself, hey, I'm not supposed to stay in this place. I'm really comfortable. This is good. It feels great, but I need to keep moving forward because I promised myself or my family or my legacy that I would get to here. I'm here. This is great. I'm doing well, but I need to keep moving forward.
Right. That's yeah. And speaking of surrounding yourself, um, that's also why it's important to read, because that opens our minds, like whether it's surround ourselves like that works and that has its place. Surround ourselves with people that keep us accountable and help us to have, keep our, I guess, our perspective and aspirations where they need to be. Um, and then books that open our mind and help us realize,
Absolutely.
oh, I need to know more about this. I need to read more. And so that's something I think in this season of my life I'm trying to do more. The last real wave of that for me was probably 2007 when I finished college and moved here. I was really reading books, and I did that. I had a good strong year and a half or so, and I'm sure life happened and kind of knocked me off
Of
in
course it
terms
is.
of that. But I read a few books that really shaped probably my next 10 years. And so
What books
now I'm
were
at a
they?
place again where I'm trying to read some books. So
What books were they that shaped your 10 years?
one of them was called The Tipping Point, which was an incredible book dealing with how um not necessarily fads, but how momentum was built for business and
Uh,
things like that.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Another one was called The Measure of a Man by Sidney Poitier. Notice,
Oh,
James, and notice what I'm saying. Everything I'm telling you, those two books, look at what my life had. I mean, the theater, the acting, the Sidney Poitier, and the tipping point, the entrepreneurship, the biz. So they literally shaped my life.
yeah.
Um, I could probably think of one more if I thought hard, but definitely those two. Um, And then before that, it was college. It was a lot of the word, a lot of the Bible. And then towards the end of college, it was W.B. Du Bois, The Soul of Black Folks. So just that's more community, oriented, uh, empowering your community, giving back, that kind of
I
thing.
hadn't read a
But
book in
yeah,
so
man.
dang long. I've got a library, but I hadn't read a book in so long, man.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. That's so here we are talking about it now. So there we go. Because like I said, I had neither, man, but since probably 2008. But now you've read books since then. You've given me books, and I've started. Don't get me wrong, I've dabbled in them. I've looked
Yeah,
at them, but I haven't like actually finished the course with the book in a while.
I've literally got a box in the closet, and I labeled the box library. So I've got more books than that. Actually, when I was at my old house in Dresden, I had so many books that I couldn't bring them with me, and it's still a point of anger for me when it comes to Jill because she's
Oh,
like you made me throw. No, yeah, you should change.
I was smiling like, oh wait, no,
No, I still get pissed about it, of course.
yeah,
But she made me like basically throw away my whole library from the Dresden house. And so when we started dating, you know how it is. We started dating. You just like
yeah.
make these dreams of, oh, in our house that we have, we're gonna have this library, and like creative ways of having a library. And I was like, man, we ain't got no damn library. You know what I'm saying? I've got a bookcase, but it's not what I envisioned. So, but nonetheless, in the closet, I've got this box, and I labeled it library, and it's condensed down to the most essential books that I want to read. That I want to read. Now,
That you
has the
want.
box opened? It has not opened.
Look, I just thought about something. Let me straighten. I thought about it. I actually have read maybe a book or two, but they've been pretty much business entrepreneurship based. Like one of the books was like how to create like a certification program,
Wait,
for people, whatever stuff like that. Like
yeah,
things like that.
that's
But I
that's process. But
exactly,
it's not growth of self.
exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
it's growth of self, but from an applied, like it has a
It's,
purpose to it.
it's
It's like
very narrow.
it's
Yeah.
narrow. It's narrow. It's not something that will stimulate your mind,
No.
like as a
No.
man thinketh, or
No.
Think and Grow Rich,
Oh yeah,
or
so that Think and Grow Rich book though, I will say I've definitely dabbled in that this year.
there you
Man, that
go.
book. I'm gonna tell you something. From the couple chapters I read, that to be honest, that started really shaping refresh coaching. I say that because it like did something in my spirit to make me
Good,
believe.
good.
Like it
Now,
really helped me
now
believe that I could do it.
Napoleon Hill wrote a second book. Um, in it narrates his point of view. I think it was him that wrote that versus the devil, I think.
Mm,
But yeah, it's a legendary book. Legendary book. I'm not sure how much of it is actually historically accurate, but nonetheless, even if it isn't, it's still inspirational. That's one of the books that Bird got me on years ago.
man,
And
that
I
book,
listened to the audio CD, if I'm not mistaken, because I actually burned copies of Rich Dad,
that
Poor Dad, and Think
certain
and Grow
books.
Rich.
That book has been impactful, and just like I said, I may have read a chapter or two, but what
It's
I
a good
did
book.
read, I knew what I took away from it. I could feel it. I could feel that
Yes.
it added to me. Yeah.
Yes. And that's in essence, that's what podcasts are doing. They're audio books of conversations of people in their lives. And it's important to keep doing these. Thank God we live in America where this stuff isn't illegal or regulated in some way, shape, or form. But I was thinking, is there a need for a financial literacy academy?
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean,
Because that may be
completely.
a way to I may have to I
So
may
so
have
look, man, I
to
mean,
pitch
my
this
kids,
alongside the Math Academy because
yeah, look, when I talk to my, my former students and pretty much
you
most of
still keep
my
up with him?
classes. Oh yeah, man. And the ones from my last school, I go check in on them. I went to the graduate, I saw the graduating seniors. I hugged them all. That was just this past week. But yeah, I definitely keep up with them, man. And I'm hoping that some of the students that were freshmen this year, they'll come to
Yeah,
Math Academy because they'll be
right.
rising sophomores, and that's our cutoff. We do 7th through 10th grade. But I say that to say a lot of the conversations in our class really evolved around, I guess, a lot of the angst or the resistance the students gave, and I told you this before, was because they felt like they should be doing more consumer math, more things that were going to relate to them. And I agreed with them, and I did try to incorporate more of that into what we did. But to that point, I mean, there's always a place for that because ultimately, um, if if students could understand money even in high school, man, we could curtail a lot of the issues we have with crime and everything else from because a lot of these students, they just find themselves in certain situations because of,
Yeah,
because economically, social economically, where they end up. So if we could teach this from really elementary through middle, and by the time in high school, it's compounded where they understand investment and the little money they do make, in high school at a McDonald's or Walmart or whatever, they're investing that, so they've got a little nest egg. They've got
yeah.
something by the time
They
they're out of high
use like
school,
Robin Hood or
and
something.
it gives them time, exactly,
Yeah,
because what happens is a lot of times, and that's another side of things. We've got to do better with helping students be proactive with their planning. We say out of our mouths, you need to have a plan, you need to have a plan, but there's got to be
but how do you do it?
some substance with
Yeah,
that to really help them develop that. But that being said, even still, if we had been teaching them thoroughly how to manage their money and invest their money, they would have a cushion out of high school where they
right,
could kind of have room to decide. And money makes money, and when you understand how money works, there's certain opportunities you can create anyway. So
right.
that needs to be
Well,
that we need to lead with that.
what I love about Ali Siddiq is he is a fantastic comedian. I argue that he is probably one of the greatest comedians of our time. His Domino Effect series 1 through 4 is a testimony of life, of how you can make the wrong choices and end up in a life that you really didn't have to be in. And it's a argument against uh, chasing after money. It's an indictment of the prison system and how people are in prison. I mean, it'll make you laugh, it'll make you
Yeah,
cry, and he's just a wonderful storyteller. I mean, you just like I can listen to it and laugh. I went back and watched it and laughed. He's somebody that you can. I've seen Domino Effect here recently, and I'd already seen it. I know where the jokes are going. I still laugh because it's how he uses his voice, it's how he uses his body language. And, I always thought with comedians that they just get up there one time and they do it, but he's going from city to city, city,
yeah,
using
constantly.
callbacks
Yeah,
and just it's that getting that rep in and being able to do it. And I'm so glad that I started listening to Joe Rogan and somehow it led me onto this other podcast type thing. So I got onto Are You Garbage. Big shout out to Are You Garbage. They're on the Back on the Block tour. They're going to be coming to Atlanta in November. As the self-proclaimed president of the Southern Division, you know, I gotta promote them. I gotta give them their flowers always. But his newest special, My Two Sons, it's what I love about it, and I'm gonna comment on that special. That's what I love about YouTube so much, man. What comment on this special saying Mr. Siddiq, um, what I'm liking about now is he's such a great storyteller. He's talking about life outside of everything that he went through when he was in prison. It's on his next
Yeah.
phase. And he's got a whole library of stories. The guy's like 53 years old. So what really ignited me to go back and watch his stuff and watch his newest special. He was on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp. And it's such a great conversation that they had with each other. Man, I love doing this stuff, man. I could do this stuff with you my whole life without pay. I love this. I really do. I genuinely love doing this kind of stuff because it's about conversations in different frames
Yeah.
and drawing out innately the things that God has gifted into us. So when you're talking to me, I am literally like 15 different things are going off at the same time, and I'm thinking about each child, how Jesus was so wise in using parables that involve farming. Because if you think about it, if the translations are 100% accurate, even if they're 80% accurate, farming is the greatest analogy to humanity. Because farming, if you think about farming, what do you think about when you think about farming? You think of crops. If you think about crops, what do you think about? What kind of crops? You think of corn, you think
Seed
of
time and
wheat,
harvest. Yeah.
point time of harvest, but also you go a layer deeper and think about what are you planting? You're thinking about you're planting corn, you're planting carrots, different types of fruit.
Yeah.
Different types of fruit take different types of care to draw out what they are, you
Exactly.
see. And you
Depends
have
on the
to,
season, the soil,
yes,
lots of things.
yes, yes.
Climate.
And they are innately unique.
Yeah.
You see, they're uniquely built differently, every single kid. So if you can tap into that thing, into you, like you just said with Think and Grow Rich, something inside your spirit said, hey, this is good. If you find that frequency, that tune, that they'll
Mm.
feel it, it'll resonate. They'll like, man, this is it. This is the one. But if you can build AI, use AI or something to build something around it to where they'll answer a series of questions, then boom, you've got their learning frequency and you can tap straight into it. And that's the frequency you use. Every now and then, change it, channel it, disrupt it a little bit and introduce a different learning frequency, and then they can expand their growth. See, we're not limited to be just one thing. We can be a lot of different things.
Yeah. Man, I love that. I love that. It makes me think about when I think about what you said with the foreman, all these fruits that the thing that they have in common, fruits and veggies, is they all need they still need sunlight, they need
Yeah,
water,
yeah,
they need soil.
cool.
But like you said, there's all these different combinations or frequencies of that though that allows that thing to grow. And
And you can have new fruits and vegetables
you can have
too.
new
They do
fruit
do cross pollinate that.
and you can have different, you can have apples that can grow in two different places and grow well, but they evolve and look differently. Still good, still
Yeah,
taste good, but
yeah.
they're a different size, a different, feel, etc. But man, that's really interesting. I'm actually gonna be thinking about that as I'm developing a curriculum over the next week or so for Math Academy, thinking about that frequency in terms of this experience. That gives me a backdrop to think about, what will touch the hearts and minds of students
Amen.
to help them embrace
And
this learning process.
FLA, it could piggyback off of Math Academy because you do Math Academy and then you see the real life application of math itself. And you know, you'd have to say a disclaimer, he's just piggybacking off of me. We're not really associated with each other. I mean, he liked the whole word academy, so and then he put the financial literacy in
Well,
front of
well, can I say the irony?
it.
The irony is our theme is always financial literacy. Last summer,
Yeah.
financial literacy was the theme.
Yeah.
This summer, Well, I say the thing, I say one of the main things because that's something we worked with pretty much every day. We actually took them through,
Right,
we did budgeting, we did consolidating loan, and it was all real
right,
world applications. They had money and we
right,
played these games. And so they'll be doing that too this year. That's like a whole segment that we do with the
right.
financial literacy. So, and you
And
can
then I can
definitely help
go
me
a
with
little
that,
bit
man. Yeah.
deeper into it. So, well, I'm what see in my mind, I'm trying to think of how can I use this as a form of community reinvestment act credit and build something around it, present it for compliance, have them say yes, and then kind of bring that into that and get because we take those hours and we give them credit, and that counts towards our education piece. So, in for community reinvestment acts for banks, probably credit unions too. I can only speak for banks. They have
Well,
three.
you need to be you need to be thinking. Go ahead. Then I'm gonna say you need to be thinking about that because we're a nonprofit. It'll work. Go ahead.
So there's three components when you're doing things for community reinvestment act. It's the education, investment, and I think it's loans. I think loans is one of them. I've got, we have to take all this CE, continuing education, computer, all those stupid acronyms. But and I don't, it's the same courses every year. Okay. It's all like point click, point click, point click. So, I mean, I know it, but I don't like inherently I know it, but I can't like recall. It's not the same thing as me recalling the time where Ali Siddiq was talking about Brown and Wynn getting into a competition, weightlifting competition with each other in the prison. See, it's not the same thing. Like I can recall that. It's amazing what the mind is willing to remember quickly, but it won't remember things that bores itself, you know.
Oh, while we're on this subject, I will ask you. I mean, we're on a podcast, so you could say no. But would you be willing to come in and speak one day during the camp, Mr. Second through the
Sure.
sixth? You just
Sure,
come
sure.
speak like
Yeah,
15 to 20 minutes about
yeah,
financial.
15, 20 minutes. I can do that. Yeah, I can do that for about
Oh, I
15 to
knew the
20
answer
minutes.
to that. You better have been a
Yeah.
yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that. Yeah, we just have to hammer down dates and,
Yeah.
how it impact with my home life.
Yeah, yeah,
I got to schedule around it. I got to fit around it. So,
yeah, for
but yeah,
sure.
I mean,
And
yeah. Is it going to be on a weekend?
no, it's a Monday through Friday, so it'll
Monday
just
through
be
Friday?
you'll have a date. And we
Okay.
can see what date works best
Okay.
for you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but matter of
Wait,
fact,
when is Math Academy starting?
June 2nd. It's June 2nd through 6th. So
Okay.
2 weeks from Monday.
Okay.
Matter of fact,
Can you
I'll
go
even
ahead and
do
text
one.
me that date?
I will, and I'll do one better than that. The speaking you would speak between 10:15 to 10:45. Somewhere,
Okay.
you
As
can
long
speak
as
as
I don't
long as short
have
as you. Yeah, 10:15 to 10:45.
as long as I don't have a closing or a meeting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's better to do that kind of stuff. So the blessing of being in the position that I am now, I can say yes to a lot more things than I used to. Like I told Jill, what you don't understand, well, you do understand, but you don't understand it from my perspective now. In my perspective now, I can say yes to a lot more things than I used to because I have more time. I'm not bound down to an office. Like again, for example, if in my old role, I would have to go to my boss to say, "Hey, I've got this program that I need to go to. Is that okay?" They're going to say yes. I know they're going to
Mhm.
say yes. That's not a problem. Whereas now I don't even have to worry about that. I just go.
Yeah.
You see, that's the freedom side of it. That's the freedom. You don't
Oh
have to
yeah.
worry about getting permission to do a thing. You just do the thing. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to do and making money, that's the difference between being a business owner and an employee.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental difference between the two. And it's what I would argue I would want every single American to do. American, citizen of the United States of America. I want you to be an employee. I want you to have a part-time business that you have that you're running. concurrently, parallel to it, with the goal of one day being your own merchant, having your own stall, doing your own thing.
The irony is the biggest challenge for most people would be figuring out how to use their time to
Yes.
run that business.
And
Hence,
that's where refresh,
yeah.
refocus, rebuild. In fact, there is
Boom.
a forthcoming book coming out one day that is
Cha-ching.
already called Refresh, Refocus, Rebuild.
It's hilarious.
There's even a second edition of the book called Refresh, Refocus, Rebuild. It's a narrowed down version of the same concepts.
That's it,
And,
man.
it's just like how I won the lottery. First
Yeah.
edition, garbage, 5 pages long. Second edition, a little bit better, five
7
pages
pages.
long. 5 pages long. You know, it's
The edited version. A
the
little bit of
edit.
editing there, right?
A little bit edited there. But that one, I mean, again, it's my process. It's
Yeah.
very simple. It's a very simple, easy process to do. And so Mega Millions has increased their price from $2 to $5 now with a better chance of winning. So I drove on up. I picked up my 10 draws. So there we go.
So Millions is more expensive now, you said?
Yes. Yes.
Oh
They
wow.
changed it to in April, they changed it from 2 to 5. So you
That's a
pay
big jump.
more. Well, you pay more, but your odds of winning have increased.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Hmm.
Hey, let's get that system. And you already got your system,
But it's
so
already working.
it's already
So
working.
my system,
Yeah, let's
I'm
talk
not going to tell you
system.
without paying mine in the book.
That's right. Yeah, you can't tell. Yeah, can't. You got to buy the book for that.
Or you can just go and filter on the Patreon. I'll be glad to tell you.
For the price of the book, you get several Patreon episodes. That's how you do
Man,
that.
the
That's
first
brilliant.
the first one, the first one I ever get, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be that scene from Ghostbuster. Hey guys, we got one. It's the
Oh
call.
man, that's hilarious. That's hilarious, man.
But like I told Jill, we have got to find a way to break out of just being dependent upon money.
Mhm.
It's hard to do, but there's so much life to experience, you know, to see the
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
there was a world around us that's fighting and struggling that more importantly than this, that this life eventually ends and there's another life on the other side that's far more important than this life. And so to people that don't believe in the next life, that believe that when it's over, from one perspective, that's very depressing. So
Yeah.
you're going and that's it. So why are we here? We are here because we were created to be here.
Right.
We are here because we are chosen to replace something that was here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unfortunately, we, our current generation, were born into is a struggle.
Hmm.
But I believe that we have a Lord and a Savior that's going to come back and set it right. And we and
Yeah.
we will get to experience how it was meant to be.
Exactly, man. And it's interesting you say
Doesn't that
that.
make sense?
Oh, completely. And it's interesting you say that, man. I want to come at it from a couple perspectives because on one side, one of the things I think about is how in this world we pay for services, we pay for knowledge, for information, but that's not, that wouldn't even be the case in in heaven, and in a perfect place. nobody would be paying for those things. So even the way that money works is you
Perversion.
know is what
It's a perversion,
yeah, yeah,
a
in a
corruption.
lot of ways how we use it today, but even at its base, it would just become it would become obsolete when
Yeah,
we all know truth, when we know everything, when we're walking in the way with God, where we know all, those things are obsolete. So it really makes clear what the most important things are. God made a one thing that's undeniable. He made us all unique. So if we just look at that, we understand that there's beauty in what God has put in us because that's the community and that's the relationship and that's what it's about ultimately. The community, relationship, and we enjoy God's creation through each other. Now the other thing I want to say, even from the standpoint of the money, you were talking about how it's so much more to discover. That's so true, man. And really, when we look when we look at just the Bible and even our own experiences and look at just what it means to believe and trust God, that transcends the limitations of money. Don't get me wrong, in this world, you know, even the Bible and Proverbs says money answers all. Money is used to do things,
it's a tool. That's
but
all it's ever been. It's a tool.
you say exactly, it's a tool. And belief and faith, in Jesus Christ, ultimately, all of that, it transcends it, man. I believe, and the Bible says that, David said, I've been young and I've been old, but I've never seen the righteous forsaken nor seed begging bread. There are things that we can do and the way that we can live where we'll always, I believe, have what we need. Now, for somebody that I can't really speak for, somebody might say, well, why are people, impoverished, this and that? Well, we know, you and I know, that's a couple things. That's um a lot of that is man's doing things that have been chosen. A lot of things are generational, and a lot of it's warfare and things like that. But for us that do know the Lord and have this relationship, it is for us to continue to just we have the wherewithal to trust God and to make change and to change a lot of these places and things where folks are not in favorable situations, that God has given us the resources, one in just our ability to pray and ask for God to act on behalf. God says whatever we bind on earth should be bound in heaven. Same thing, what we loose on earth should be loosed in heaven. So you know, just have to faithfully do those things for one.
Well, the other side of what you're saying is that's why I love wireless headphones so much. I can run, get my power adapter, plug it into the laptop before the battery dies on me. So that way, this whole part right here, Queen's Gambit. We gambling right now, baby. That's my Asian is kicking in. It's like let's gamble and see how far we can run this battery. Uh, it's interesting that what you say, what you bind in earth, you bind in heaven. Said, when I think of heaven, I think of a realm that exists beyond this realm, you know,
Mhm.
and said Rogan had a scientist on there, and I didn't take the time to really like listen in depth to the conversation. So it shows how much I've grown beyond, his podcast. I've listened to so many now that it has to, the guest has to really draw me in. He has Guy Fieri on very recently. But this particular guest was talking about he does not believe that there is life outside of our world. Like in all the worlds and all the galaxies and all the universe, there is no life. There's just us, basically, in essence. Now, it could be paraphrasing. Maybe he didn't mean to say that. But I was also watching the movie The One with Jet Li, early 2000s
Mhm.
movie. talking about the multiverse, that there were multiple worlds running parallel concurrently along at the same time, and how this version of the one is killing other versions of himself to become absolute and absorbing himself into himself. So when I used to think of heaven, I used to think of it as a place up, above us,
Mm,
naturally, because that's what kind of what was taught to us. But to me, heaven is a extra dimension. It
yeah,
doesn't exist above us, but around and within us. You
yeah,
see,
I
what I
believe that
bind
too.
in earth, this reality, I bind in the next reality.
Yeah, I
So, and if
believe
you
that,
think
man.
about it
That's
that way, it's cool. It's cool.
it is, man, and I mean it makes sense because I mean even in the Bible, in the Bible, when heaven was manifest, with angels because they exist in heaven,
Right.
so they would visit me. So clearly, you know, they would appear, and I mean people even see sometimes that happens today. Like we both
Right.
probably know people that have actually seen angels.
Yep.
So we're talking about a realm that you're right, it does
It's
exist. It's
it's
here.
not above. You have
Yeah, it's
to
not above.
break the two-dimensional thinking of it's above. No, think of it as
Mm,
outside, external, and internal existing at the same time. It's think about it in a way just like you would as a teacher.
yeah.
You think of it as, but it's actually true, where your students know more than you. Well, think about the things you don't understand as it knows more than you. Of course, it knows more than you because it exists outside of you. So you cannot explain it because when you try to explain it, again, it's the wonder of humanity. Even if I were to explain this in English, someone in Thailand would not understand what I'm saying because I'd have
Right.
to translate it into their language. So I look at math as a universal language, a language of at least of this reality. It exists beyond into the next reality. That's what all this quantum physics, all these other math, these higher levels of math is trying to show and prove. But again, it's the limitations of humanity. There's only so much math that it can explain. So there's dark matter math. There's things that math cannot explain. And even then, that can get broken when, see, our version of math is because it's fallen, it's diluted. It's not true to whatever the real reality is.
Yeah,
So,
like like it. Our version of math is limited by physics, by the
hmm
physical world, but the
hmm
spiritual realm is not limited by that.
no.
It's not. It's not.
It,
It doesn't work in our spiritual. I mean, our
like
physical world. It
like
go. It
exam.
transcends it.
Like life itself, humanity itself is an explanation of true reality because the math that we use is the same thing as humans' language. So the real true math is it's just a component of it. Our math is a component of multiple languages of math.
It's interesting, man, because it makes me think of I thought you were gonna mention like speaking in tongues, but I thought about like how the Acts church when they were baptized in the Holy Spirit and they began to speak, all of them spoke in languages that were not their own,
Right. And
and
they
that
thought people were drunk.
transcends that. You say what?
They thought the people were drunk speaking other
Exactly.
languages.
And then that transcends our thinking because it's like, how can somebody who's never sat there and learned another language just
Speaking other
speak
language.
another language?
Well, also
Trans
too, if you think about too, when it comes to demonic possession, how is it that people are able to speak languages that they don't know?
Mm,
Because beings that what we call as demons or daemons, they are not limited to language.
yeah,
So when they
yeah,
possess, they can speak whatever language they want to speak. But it's
yeah,
amazing. It's amazing that we say the name of Jesus and demons bow.
yeah, yeah,
Again, it's English. It's not Thai. It's not Latin. You say Yeshua, but it's not the word. It's the spirit behind the word. It's the power behind the word.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
supernatural. It's beyond natural.
yeah,
See, when I talk to you, I'm talking to you in a language that I've grown up with my whole life. Now, if we did this podcast in Thailand, I'd be talking to you in Thai. You'd be talking to me in Thai. But we would still be conveying the same ideas, same concepts, just in a different language, which is the spiritual language that we all have is so unique because it's it's what we're speaking from is a frequency that is deep inside our own spirit and
Yeah.
soul. And that's why, when people do speak in spirit, it's people think it's weird, and it is weird, but it's your own individual language that God has cultivated, formed, grown out of you.
Right.
And again, that language has power too,
Right.
because again, it's existing beyond this reality.
Exactly.
And so, this is really going right into the deep end of the pool. I mean, I was just talking about Ali Siddiq, and you know,
That's
and
what
next thing I know, we're talking
that's what
about
Ali
like
Siddiq could do. That's
spiritual
you
languages and stuff.
just opened up a whole avenue, man. It's funny though. I'll say this. What's interesting to me, this is kind of a little tangent, but what's interesting to me, man,
Hey, we
is
weaving
how
this. We weaving, baby.
is how our cultures and language barriers, how subconsciously it makes us feel that we're different and we're all the same. You know what I'm
We're
saying?
all
Like how we'll
humans.
look at different cultures,
Yeah,
different people, and it's almost like you feel like they're different. Like the way
but they're
they look
not.
at the life and everything's different.
Yeah.
And and one thing that reminds me of that is looking at certain militaries. Like I look at North Korea's military and this and that. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's just a system, what they're doing, but the people are the same,
Yeah.
period. But it's
Yeah.
just like our ways of doing things make us have these barriers in our mind.
Yes.
But man, we all the same.
We are all the same. That's why humanity has to understand there is a very real enemy. The challenge is that the enemy is not external. It's internal.
Yeah.
It's internal. And then it's like, well, you're talking about fighting against yourself. No, I am talking about you taking the fight to an internal enemy that you cannot see, cannot perceive with your eyes. It is a spiritual enemy. Oh, you're talking about yourself. No, I'm not talking about yourself. I'm talking about it's written in the Holy Bible. There is what's called the adversary, the enemy. He is parading back and forth in front of the God, saying against you because he hates you. He
Yeah.
hates the fact that you were chosen above him. And that's just how it is. He's going to hate you forever. He's going to take on many forms, sometimes a very pleasing and pleasant form, but his true form is something that is against humanity. And
Yeah.
you have to understand that he will use you, he will use power, pleasure, penance to tempt you, corrupt you, because he wants to hurt the thing that his creator loves, which is you. And he's not going to stop. How can he hurt God? He can't hurt God. He can't hurt
Right.
God at all, but he can hurt you.
Yeah.
He can hurt you. And that's why Jesus had to do what he had to do. It's literally a rescue mission to come down and
And
say, hey,
and
I'll
that's
come to save
literally
you.
exactly. And that's literally, it makes me think of how Jesus told his disciples that you will have trouble, but basically don't fret because I have overcome the world.
Overcome the
It's
world.
like just assuring us, look, this enemy, look, you gonna have trouble. This how this life gonna be. But I've overcome all of this. And and
Right.
and I'm here for you. So just know if you're mine, you'll be fine. You're
Well,
gonna have to go through this. You'll be
so
fine.
Lord, let me win the lottery so that way I can get that one piece out of my life.
Get that one what?
Get that one piece out of my life. One piece of trouble out of my life.
That's funny, man. Well, man, this is a good one, man. This is a good one. It actually ended up being we went like a hour and 10 minutes easily, or maybe
Easily.
15.
I don't know. That's why I love. I can do this all day, man. All day. I can go. I max out about three because that's again, it's. I think beyond three that would be too much. But I mean, if I had to go seven, I could go seven. Um, but it's one of those things where it we can get in the conversation with somebody, man. It's easy. It's easy to do.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
easy to do.
It is.
That's a
Well,
pound.
that's a pound, man. That's a pound. I won't ask you what you got up for the rest of the day. I'll just text you.
Please text me. I'll tell you what I got up for the rest of the day. This is gonna be an interesting day, man.
I got you, bro. All right, man. Well, love you, man. It's been
Love you
real.
too. It's been real good.
Catch you later.
All right, bud.